If you get a chance to get a tour of a Tesla facility, you just got to. It's the mothership. It's where we are. I got a chance to see it finally. Took a little while, but it was worth it. Let's talk about what we saw. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Ozza. Oh, the factory. Oh, the factory. It's so cool. I was hoping to see it sooner than this. I was hoping to see it on a little more executive terms, but a regular old factory tour will do. I was able to use my referral points to get in, which is also fun. Thank you guys for using my referral link in the description, all that good stuff. It's also how I was able to pay for the miles to get here, the supercharger miles. Very fun. Of course, they have a Cybertruck sitting here to check out. Climb right in, have fun. So what did we learn? Well, we learned there's one line making the S and X. We learned that there's two lines making the 3 and an unknown number of lines making the Y, because I couldn't get a straight answer. And I was really trying to get a straight answer, and I couldn't get one. And I don't buy. The story we got was that it's not a line, it's a loop, it's a circle. It's an infinite circle. Were there any things there that surprised you about the factory? Because Bert here was an engineer at Ford for 30 years.
So I guess the thing that struck me the most was I thought that I was more familiar with a lot more screens and things that told you what the current status was. And so I spent some time talking with the guide about the fact that they troubleshoot everything before they get through the line. They have all of the issues taken care of before they're put into the assembly, which is very different from my experiences. So we would have a big board at the end that would give you the status of everything, of how everything had gone on, and that's just not here.
There weren't very many screens. There were a lot of interesting parts. There were whole stations set up, put in a foam block. We need a foam block for sound, for NVH, noise,
Yes.
Vibration, harshness, so yes. And we saw those things. We saw interesting cradles for, I asked Bert at one point, that part right there, that goes underneath the rear motor on a regular conventional car, would that be a casting? And he said, they don't have that part. That part is not on there. There's
Right.
no counterpart.
Correct.
That would just be a transaxle or nothing. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Were any surprises to you in terms of the number of times things move vertically?
So I think where they had Iceman and Wolverine,
the names of the robots named after Marvel characters.
Yes, which the purpose of it was simply to lift the vehicles over the supply alley that they would run all of the, so simply moving the vehicle up to make room for traffic, where in the assembly plants I'd been in, basically you wait for the car to come through, or the car waits for you. But in this case, they're allowing continuous transport through there by lifting the vehicle up and just simply putting it on the other side of the aisle.
It hadn't occurred to me, but how much time in a factory must be lost waiting for your turn to go while a car is in the way. It is, for a human, not as big of a deal. You walk around, but if you're pulling parts, you don't have a.
So the big thing that's an issue for an assembly plant is just transporting all the parts to keep the lines filled. Your high-load drivers have to get into these parts, for one station they've got to fill all those parts, then they've got to get the supplies for the next station in the line, and the high-lows are doing a lot of running back and forth. And so what they've done here is they've made it so that the high-lows don't have to stop for the vehicles to get past. And in our case, we saw the electric vehicles that were running around on the floor.
And that was the other thing. All the forklifts, all the employee cars, There were even little trucks. Everything's electric in there. There's no propane. There's no nothing. No
Yes.
fumes. Just the smell of hydraulic fluid. Is all I could tell, and paint in some places. Now there was a big section with all the stamped bodies, and we saw a lot of rework on imperfect stampings. Did that surprise you at all?
So I'm not as familiar with the body areas, but yes, I was surprised of the how much
It looked
the
like a
body. For me, yes, I've been in the facilities where they were doing the welding and that sort of, putting the bodies together. I am not familiar with seeing that much work on repairing small bumps and things from the stampings.
Now, apparently, in here, in this building, they have the North America's largest stamping press.
Yes.
And it is 7 stories, and you look at it and you go, okay, well, it isn't, because it's not a 7-story building. And then they tell you, yeah, 30 feet of it's underground.
Yes.
You've never seen a machine that size? is what we're saying?
That's correct. That one was very large. I am quite familiar with stamping presses, and I'm certainly, my experience is that it would just shake the floors. And this one, especially for its size, I wasn't feeling it. They've done a really good job of dampening it.
I don't think it was running. The big one, I don't think was running. The smaller ones were running, and I didn't feel those, so they must have done something to dampen it.
Yeah.
Then again, the soil here is maybe a little soft. I think we're on a fill section of the city. Any other thoughts on the workflow, the parts, the size of the building?
So I think the size is not as I'm familiar with assembly plants being large buildings and being able to say, whether this one is bigger than others that I've been in, it would be difficult to assess.
Once you reach a certain size, it's just huge.
Yeah.
Once it reaches the limit of what a human can understand in terms of scale, you run out of headroom to say, and like Giga Texas is significantly bigger than this, but
Yes.
this feels just as big.
Yeah.
It feels just as big because it's beyond the scope of human understanding. Any other thoughts? What did you think of the number of humans versus robots?
I did, from what I saw, it looked much more normal than I expected.
Me too. But we did mostly spend our time on the S and X line,
Yes.
which is, as I
The
understand,
older-
the least automated of the lines.
Yes.
All of that is so much fun. We didn't get to see the paint shop. We didn't get to see the end of line. We didn't get to see castings.
And the end of line was the part that I really wanted to see.
And why?
Because there's so much at the end of line on most assembly lines. That's where you can really see how the factory is functioning, what parts of it are running. Normally, you have a large board which tells you all of the systems that are working, all the systems that are not working or are slow, and you can just see the entire factory just from that display board at the end of line and understand what's coming at you. And you can tell by how cars are building up if there's something that they're having to do repairs on. You can at the end of line, you can easily understand how efficiently the factory is working that day.
Now, we did see one car that was put aside in the scrap heap where someone had just taken a Sharpie and written, no bueno. No bueno.
No bueno.
No bueno. Clear, crystal clear. I think it would be interesting to see the newer lines, but the tour
Yes.
is what it is. The tour is restarted apparently a year and a half ago for parts suppliers, employees and their families, dignitaries, which would explain why everyone who comes here from another country says, we're getting a factory. We are getting a factory.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. If you get a chance, it is very rare that you can actually get one of these tours with referral points, so keep an eye out for it if you have referral points. Maybe it's something you could do, but if you know somebody who works at one of these places, maybe they can help you out. Security there, they're not after us this time. And of course, I would love to share with you more insights from inside, but I can't because no cameras, no video, no recording of any kind. And I probably signed something that said don't take physical notes, so I didn't do that. And when you work with me, I work with you, and I don't break your rules. It's only when I'm not part of your system, when the man doesn't invite me in, that I have to find other stories. So it's great that the investors are getting to see factories again. Maybe shareholders could, maybe the media could. I know I wouldn't make that list either, but this is a great opportunity for people to see how these things work. So, gotta do it. Reminder, I'm going to be at the X Takeover in Austria, along with Lars from Best in Tesla and Jan from Tesla Fix. But also, Bert's going to be there. He won't
Yes.
be speaking; he'll just be there, so you can meet him too. And then, of course, Dr. Scott Walter will be there, which is a lot of fun. And John from Tesla Owner Silicon Valley will be there because he's the man. So, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? What would you like me to tell you that I may or may not be able to? Leave it all in the comments below. And, like, subscribe, do the usual things. He does. And he doesn't even like. So, I mean, it's crazy. And stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the Flippity Flop.